Hey folks, Prepper Princess. I think it's about time we talked about when times get hard. Alright folks, Prepper Princess, so don't forget to check out my Patreon page for more personalized and interactive videos. I do want to talk to you guys today about when times get hard. So, what our country is going through right now is going to put millions and millions of people on hard times. When most people think of SHTF, they think of the end of the world, the apocalypse, and in most cases it's more along the lines of an LCE, or a life-changing event, and that's typically for an individual person or family. So first and foremost, if you find out that your life is going to change, not necessarily for the better, it is a good idea to take a couple of days to just mourn the loss of your previous life. It's very important that you do that. You can cry, punch a punching bag, kick the dirt, just do whatever it is that you have to do to get over the anger and the possible depression that might come from a life-changing event. The next step that you should be taking is to do an inventory of everything that you have. Not just finances, but things that you have around your house, primarily food. Go on. Go on. Okay, just stare at me then. Rocky. So, is to go over your inventory of food. So right now is not the time to save your preps for a real SHTF, because this is your SHTF moment for you and your family. It is time to go through all of those preps. Go through your pantry. It's very important to go through your stockpile of meat, your stockpile of vegetables, proper portions. It's time to maybe cut down on the meat, because the meat is the most expensive part of your diet. And I'm not saying to become vegetarian, I'm not saying to become vegan, I'm just saying it's going to be a really good idea to eat a little bit less meat and a little bit more vegetables, a little bit more rice, in order to make that meat last longer so that you don't have to go to the store earlier. Another thing that you can do is, when you are in a bad financial situation, the time to go to the food bank is not after you were unable to pay your light bill. It's not after you were able to pay your auto insurance. The time to go to the food bank is before all of that happens. That way you can stretch out your food budget longer and hopefully be able to keep those bills paid so that your lights don't get turned off, your water doesn't get shut off, your car insurance doesn't lapse. That's something that you really need to do now. Swallow your pride, go to the food bank, do what you have to do. Another thing that you can do is go to your electric company and see if there's any low income discounts. A lot of companies, I remember Pacific Gas and Electric in California did that. There's another place here that does that, and it helps low income families lower their electricity rates so that maybe they can use their funds for something else. Another thing to do is to go over your insurance, your medical insurance, car insurance, home insurance, and if you have it, life insurance. So your homeowners, it's time to raise the deductible on your home insurance and decide if you can afford home insurance at all. I know that a lot of people would disagree with this, but if you are in really, really bad financial straits and you don't have the $800 or $900 to pay for your home insurance, then it might be something that you have to skip. If you're in good health and you don't have the money to pay, a monthly fee of $400, $500 for medical insurance, it's sad to say, but that might be something that you're going to have to cut out of the budget. You can also make phone calls and see if it's possible to get a lower rate, but chances are, if you're unemployed and the unemployment has run out, you do not have the finances to pay for that, however dire the situation may be. It's time to go over your inventory of clothing and find out what you can maybe patch up, hem up. Maybe you can stretch the pants out if you've outgrown them. You can go over all of your shoes, make sure that they fit correctly, and if they do, it might be time to just go buy a $2 shoe polish instead of going out and buying your kids new shoes or yourself new shoes. It might be time to go to your school, your children's school, and see if they have any low-income programs that will provide free arts, not art supplies, but free school supplies to your children at no cost. There are a lot of schools that do this type of thing. It's also time to see if there are alternative ways that you can continue having electricity without using as much. For instance, I have 2 lights on behind me. That is just for the light effect making my videos. This room is typically completely turned off. So it's time to, switch to LED bulbs, the lowest wattage that you can manage. In all of your light bulbs, to be quite honest with you. If it's possible, maybe get a small solar unit and lots of rechargeable batteries for your lamps and your lighting. It's time to go over your cable bill. It's time to determine if cable is really necessary. What I would recommend doing is getting out a piece of paper or a notepad, pen and paper, whatever, and writing down a column of your needs versus your wants. Do I need, I need food, but I want steak. Can you replace that steak with beans? I need internet. Do I need high-speed internet, or do I just want the fastest speed that they have available? If you already have a TV, getting rid of the TV isn't really going to do anything. People say get rid of internet, cable, and TV. Well, getting rid of cable is really easy. Selling a TV, you're not really going to get hardly any money for it, so you might as well hold on to the TV and rent DVDs from the library. Or, as I always suggest, get a Roku box, and if you have an internet connection, that Roku box is going to give you thousands and thousands of free movies and DVDs. It's time to maybe stop shopping at Nordstrom's and Macy's and maybe getting yourself and your children used to shopping at thrift stores. Thrift stores are amazing. I have not shopped at a normal store in I don't know how long, but there's a huge aversion to thrift stores, and I think that it's time that you maybe, got that out of you and your children's head. Another thing is to look around your home. How much land do you have? How much arid, valuable land do you have? Even if you have a backyard that's 20 feet by 20 feet, a tiny, tiny backyard, you can still plant a fruit tree or a very small hydroponics garden, which you can make out of PVC pipe that you can get at Home Depot for $20. And you can start growing your own fruits and vegetables. If your children are particular about the types of fruits and vegetables they eat, that's fine. Just plant the tree that is their favorite. So if they love oranges and you like making orange juice, plant an orange tree. If they love lemonade, plant a lemon tree. If they love apple juice, apple cider, plant an apple tree. So it's really pretty simple. If you don't even have the space for a tree, you can put trellises up and grow grapes up a trellis. If you can't plant down, plant up. Just start growing things upward. And a grape plant usually only costs about $4, and they start producing within a year or two. And once it has its first harvest, you've already made your money back in grapes. This is something where you can also make your own wine. You can make your own jellies and jams. Another thing that you can do is go down to your local park. You can see if maybe you can pick some blackberries or strawberries, things that are growing wild that are delicious. I remember I remember picking blackberries as a kid, and I would come home and make blackberry pies. Something pretty much free. If you're buying flour in bulk at the store, you can make your own crust, and then you can make your own blackberry pies, which is really delicious and amazing, and it's free. You might want to, if you are really, really low on cash, you might have to start thinking of alternative methods of cooking. If you have an access to free wood, most people have access to free wood. You can also check on Craigslist. You can cut up pallets, whatever you want to do in order to create a free way to cook your food. So you can take those wood things, wood pieces. You can take the logs and such, cut them up, use them for firewood to keep your house warm in the winter, or warmer, at least supplement the heat. so that you're using less electricity. And you can also do them for bonfires and put a grate over the bonfire and cook while you're enjoying the bonfire outside. There's also propane stoves. You know, if you can't afford the gas bill, you know, you might have to start cooking with a propane stove. It's just the way it is. It's really time to look at your assets and your resources and see how far you can push them. If you have a fishing pole and you're out of work, it's time to go fishing. Not, you know, of course you should be looking for a job. That should be first and foremost. But after that, you should be finding different ways to supplement your food intake, because food is one of the easiest things that can be replaced that we continually spend money on. You know, brown bagging your lunch isn't exactly going to cut it when you don't have any money or any income coming in. Another thing that you can do is maybe take something like a lawnmower, start talking to your neighbors. Hey, can I mow your lawn for $5, for $10? If you have a weed whacker, you can do that too. You know, if you've got maybe a gas generator and an electric lawnmower, you can do that yourself. Just small jobs that people might need assistance with, but your service would be cheaper than for contacting, as opposed to contacting a landscaper. So a landscaper may charge $20, but you only charge $10. Of course, the person is going to go with you, and they'll pay out of pocket, so you don't have to pay taxes on that. It's even crazy. Some people will start a lemonade stand or an orange stand, and what they'll do is they'll go to construction sites with a wagon and start selling ice cold lemonade to the construction workers, you know, $1 or $2 a pop. But if you have your own lemon tree, it's pretty much free or nearly free to you. So that's something that you could possibly invest in. But these are just a few ideas of being creative when times get hard. And the more creative you are in trying to save and conserve money, I promise you, the more fun it's going to become, the more of a game it can be, and the better off you're going to be in the future. I do want to say really quick, you know, a lot of people suggest going and selling all of your stuff. And if it's something that you're not using or does not bring you any joy, then great, go for it, sell it. And if you have something that you have to sell and it has some sort of sentimental value to you, just remember that this situation is temporary. So it may be, you know, you have to sell a car, you know, you have an extra car and you had to sell your prized Jeep, you know, that you've had since you were 20 years old and you're 40 now. And you had to sell your prized Jeep. Now this is just a temporary situation where things may be bad, and yes, it's going to suck, but you will have the opportunity in the future to get that item back, to get your Jeep back. So just remember that when times are tough, it can only be temporary. You should always be looking on the bright side and do whatever you can to make a negative situation as comfortable as possible. I hope that this has helped. Do what you can with what you've got. Prepper Princess out. What's she doing? Are you being a silly boy? Are you being a silly boy? Huh? Huh? Lay down. Belly rub. Belly rub. Spoiled doggy. Spoiled doggy. You, Mr. Spoiled Pants. My boy, you just always want belly rubs. That's all I'm good for. It's just belly rubs and these butt rubs over here. These butt rubs. Leg rub? Yep, leg rub. Oh. Spoiled boy. Spoiled boy. You